EA Sports. It's in the game.
Released in October 2003 on Windows, PS1, PS2, GameCube, Xbox, Game Boy Advance, the N-Gage, and mobile. Yep, on mobile, even all the way back in 2003 when phones looked like this. FIFA 2004 is the 11th game in the series, building on the same game engine used for FIFA 2003. For clarity, everything you see in this video is captured from the PS2 version. It reviewed pretty well, especially considering this was a time when PES was very much dominating the football game scene, with a number of reviews from bigger gaming outlets noting that FIFA was starting to shift attention onto itself, having been thought of as inferior to PES for so long. This was the second year of the now famous, probably, EA Tracks setup, which meant that the game once more had an absolute monster of a soundtrack. Underworld, The Jam, Radiohead, and of course Fool's Gold by the Stone Roses. Those guys were already established, but this was where we really started to see EA Tracks take shape and make a push towards promoting as yet unknown artists from all over the world, more than doubling the number of tracks featured in FIFA 2003. Something else it doubled, almost, was the number of teams, with FIFA 2004 featuring the second tier for numerous countries. Nowadays we're used to the second and, in some cases, the third and fourth tiers of certain countries being present in FIFA, but for a while it was only the top divisions, and FIFA 2004 was the turning point, bringing in the second tiers for multiple leagues for the first time. One nice touch found in FIFA 2004 is these What's New videos. Nowadays, these are talked over by the producers and published pre-release as part of the new game kind of hype cycle, but in a pre-YouTube 2003, they could be found on the disc. Narrated by John Motson, describing the new features and so on. Not exactly tutorials, but these were the days when you still got an actual manual with your games, so I guess these served as more of a nudge to go and get that out and have a proper look at how to control the new features.
This is setting up a goal-scoring opportunity with a long ball from the back, controlling a teammate on a run and threading through the perfect pass, fighting for space in a dead ball situation, or jockeying a player and executing a perfectly timed tackle. In addition, we have a number of other new controls at your command. This includes modifiers which enable you to execute different types of shots, headers and passes, as well as an in-game manager that gives you on-the-fly control over pitch-level tactics and new right analog stick controls that can be used both when attacking and defending. Plus, we've taken set-piece plays even further, with enhanced control over both corners and free kicks.
Another way to have a look at those new features would be to fire up training mode. The problem is, when you do, you'll probably just find yourself taking free kicks over and over and over, because they're brilliant. It's not a massively different system from 2003. You still aim using a crosshair on the goal and you still add spin to the ball before powering up your shot, but the HUD layout's a little bit different, and now the ball is animated to show you what to expect in terms of spin or swerve. Once solo free kicks get boring, side note, they won't, you can move on to perfecting free kicks with a partner, having them lay it off to you for a shot or tee you up to try and pick out a teammate. There's a lot of variety to what you can do with set pieces, from long range rockets to cheeky little dinks over the wall from close range. And as with everything, practice indeed makes perfect. Once you've dialed in the free kick techniques, you can easily transfer them into a match. Bosh. FIFA 2004 also brought the game online, if in 2004 you had a PlayStation 2 with a network adapter or an Xbox, and of course an internet connection capable of connecting to your console. I know I certainly didn't, so unfortunately I can't share any stories of early FIFA Online experiences. If you have any, feel free to drop them in the comments. Obviously for PC players that was an awful lot easier anyway. There was also chat and an in-game messaging system. I can imagine that was just lovely, like the messages you get after FIFA matches are now. Yeah. Football Fusion was a feature that allowed you to cross over with Total Club Manager 2004 and load up your Total Club Manager saves into FIFA 2004 and actually play with your teams from TCM, which is a kind of unique little feature, but not one that I imagine too many people actually used. Unsurprisingly, it was canned pretty quickly. Visually, everything looks pretty good for its time. There was a lot of presentation work done in FIFA 2003, and 2004 continued that work with slightly better player models in some cases, some nice crowd celebrations, dressing along those lines, and audio got an uplift too. Properly noticeable real chance in-game. Yes, please.
Cool. That could be costly. Can he make it safe?
On the pitch, everything feels quite clunky and kind of heavy. Sprint speeds don't feel incredibly varied, and to be honest, it's only a few players that stand out as being noticeably faster when sprinting. There's a little bit of variance in how teams play against you. You can notice the difference between a team that's a little bit more open, allowing you to play a bit, versus a team sitting deep and putting everything behind the ball. They can be incredibly tricky to break down. I guess it's nice that it's got more than one dimension. One area that feels particularly lacking is the interaction between players physically. Revisiting the game, I found many instances of players colliding heavily that should really be fouls. The game doesn't register them properly. It does happen, obviously you do get fouls, but it feels like a lot are missed, and it can be pretty frustrating at times. Passing is pretty hit and miss too. To be honest, it's probably more like semi in more recent FIFAs. Occasionally picking out the wrong player, and through balls feel completely manual, making them tricky to pull off, but absolutely deadly when you get them right. One of the big ticket new features was off-the-ball control, which allowed you to hold L2 and be presented with 3 teammates highlighted, which you can then cycle through using L2 and then control them with the right stick while still controlling your player that you already highlighted with the left stick. It's a nice little system and it works pretty well. It can be a little bit tricky to pick up, but unfortunately the area it's most useful in, the final third, is the hardest to use it in because you'll be closed down very, very quickly. I guess that stops it feeling overpowered, but more useful is the classic run triggering using L1. That off-the-ball control system kind of bleeds into set pieces, particularly corners. When in a corner situation on the attack, you'll pick a player to deliver the ball to and then try and jockey to be first to the ball. Similarly, when defending corners, you'll be the one trying to block the attacker's run and beat them to the ball. I actually really liked this system. It felt like you had a decent chance of defending corners properly. It kind of made it like its own little mini game. Holding R2 in possession allows you to walk, putting you into a kind of face-up dribbling stance. From there, the right stick allows you to do little drag backs and step overs and ball rolls. It's a nice touch and it looks pretty cool, but it's not all that useful in game, to be honest. You can try and draw players in to then exit and beat them, but it's a bit hit and miss. It's much easier to use the right stick to beat players at speed, and that's much more effective too. There's also the in-game management system, or IGM. Holding L2 and R2 will bring up the IGM menu and allow you to switch tactics on the fly. And the nicest thing about this is that as early as it is, at least you can actually see it doing something. So when switching to wing play, for example here, you'll see the players kind of moving around and switching positions. So it is actually doing something. That's very nice. FIFA 2004 is also the first FIFA I can remember where the AI is smart enough to try and exploit space. If you bring a player out of position and leave a gap whilst the AI is in possession, they will try and use that space. And that's pretty big. I'm not saying the AI was incredible, it's just that we're starting to see these little touches creep in that made the game a little bit more dynamic than just player chase ball. Commentary's a bit flat, it's provided by John Motson and Ali McCoist, and it's serviceable, but we're still not at a stage where there's a lot of interaction between the two. It feels pretty disconnected on occasion, and keepers have a little bit of trouble sometimes as well. Nothing new there, I suppose. For example, getting beaten in the air here. That's terrible. That is absolutely disastrous. One day we'll get a football game that isn't absolutely riddled with goalkeeper howlers. We do get to see McCoist and Motson draw on the replay though. Very Monday Night Football before that even existed.
The key here, John, The striker knows where he wants to put the ball, and he also knows the goalkeeper.
When a player picks up a knock, you'll be notified and told whether or not they can continue in game, and then you'll notice them kind of slow down when they receive the ball. And also, once they're injured, they're unable to sprint. And when they don't have the ball and they're injured, their animation changes to show them kind of limping about, which is again a nice little touch. It's a lot of these little things building on top of each other that, if you'll allow me to get a bit wanky for a minute, are starting to kind of add layers to FIFA. I know, I'm sorry. So far, everything is as you'd expect from a new FIFA. A few gameplay additions, a beefier soundtrack, new teams and or leagues, but the one thing that FIFA 2004 brought to the table that it could be argued changed the shape of the FIFA landscape until the debut of Ultimate Team in FIFA 2009 was Career Mode. That's right, Career Mode. I know what you're thinking, wait a minute, we have Career Mode now, and before that it was called Manager Mode, being rebranded as Career Mode in FIFA 11. You're absolutely correct, except before it was Manager Mode, it was Career Mode. Yeah, I know. Stick with me. So Career Mode became Manager Mode, became Career Mode, and the circle of life and or FIFA features completes. Weirder still are some of the similarities with Career Mode as we know it now. Okay, it only ran across 5 seasons, and Career Mode in its first outing is naturally pretty light, but it laid the foundations for what was to come. You've got objectives, stuff like qualify for Europe or keep 15 clean sheets overall, and for completing them, you'll earn points, which you can later spend on training for that all-important player growth. We'll come back to those points. I like little graphical touches, like seeing your ticket before games, but you'd think as manager you'd be sat in the dugout, wouldn't you? Not in the stands. So those points are called prestige points, and you have a budget of them which can be spent on training. Each week you can put your team through extra physical training as a squad, which is quite cheap, or you can choose to tune each player individually, drilling down to specific stats. So you can try and make them faster, try and make them shoot better, etc, etc, but that comes at a much higher cost. So early on you'll only really be able to afford to train one player in 1 or 2 stats each week. It's a good enough system, but one drawback is it doesn't reset itself each week. You have to go in and manually remove the training options you've set the week before to get the points back in the bank to then be able to spend them again elsewhere. In regards to player growth, I'd love to offer some insight, but it's not surfaced very well. It doesn't really show you the player growth fantastically well, and I didn't really get far enough into a season to be able to see the growth really taking shape. That's not helped by the fact that there's no sim games option yet, but it's not just the league. The addition of lower tiers enables cup competitions too, and there's also of course the transfer market. So we talked about those prestige points, and as well as being used for training, they're used for transfers. Higher profile players will cost more in terms of submitting a bid, so lower league players might cost, say, 200 prestige points, and bigger players will cost, say, up to 1,000 prestige points for you to actually submit a bid. Players have a transfer value attached and you have a budget, but it's a pretty simple system. You pay the prestige points to submit a bid, and then you offer a sum of money and you get an instant reject or accept from the club. Simple as that, there we go, we now own Beckham. No terms to agree with the player, no ongoing negotiations, just bang a fee in and see how you get on. Nice and easy. So that's FIFA 2004, not the most enjoyable FIFA in terms of gameplay really, a bit stiff, but some really good new features, really fun set pieces, and the dawn of Career Mode / Manager Mode / Career Mode, which obviously would go on to be basically the biggest part of the game until the online side of things really picked up around FIFA 08, FIFA 09. So still a pretty important entry in the series. Please like and subscribe and all that jazz if you fancy, no pressure, honest. Bye.
We've got a really exciting match in prospect now here today.
Henri.